Okay, we had this question about what do we do with a file that we bring in from Illustrator in order to deal with the score lines. We have valley folds and mountain folds, and they should be on different layers, and then the cutting lines should be on a separate layer. But when you click on these little pieces here, they're not connected to anything, which gives you tons of pieces. So I'll show you how I deal with the file, and then we can talk about some other options. The good thing about this file is that the score lines themselves are joined. So if we know which ones are supposed to be the valley folds and which ones are supposed to be the mountain folds, it's not too difficult to select those, but they do have to be selected individually. If you had 100 different lines to select, this could get very tedious. But if you hold the Shift key down and select the score line, and then this would be a valley fold, and the bottom would be a valley fold. The next one would be a mountain, and the next one would be a valley. But I can't really tell. This is the mountain. I can't tell which are which. But if I go through and find all the horizontal lines first, I'll just click on all of them and send them to their own layer and hide that layer. I'll look and see if I can see any other horizontal lines, because those would all be score lines. Here's another one and another one. I'm holding the Shift again, sending them to their own layer. Now I'm gonna, I see a couple more. Sometimes they're hard to see with the plus signs, but I'm just going to send that up and hide it, because all I want left is the cutting pieces. So if I select them all and join them, I can see them a little bit better. So yeah, that looks pretty good. But as we saw before, they were all broken apart. So to join them back together, after I've joined them here, I can go to Fuse and Weld and apply, so that now all of these pieces are one single shape. And that's really what I need. They don't fill in all the way because there is an open path here at the top and an open path here in the bottom, but we know that that all these lines are now joined, which is a good thing. Now I'm going to send this to its own layer by clicking on the smaller, the two green plus icons in the lower right corner, then right click and move it to the bottom. So now I'm going to hide that, and I'm going to open all of these score lines that were in the design. Now this is a small design, and so it's a pretty simple. When you have pop-up cards, every other level is going to be opposite. So this would be a valley fold. This is a mountain, so these are valleys. I'm holding the Shift key and clicking on all the valley folds. This one's a mountain, so these two have to be valley. This is a mountain, and this has to be a valley. So with didn't keep them all. I'll send those up. I'm going to hold a Shift and select. I'll just do the mountain ones, there's fewer. I'm going to hold Shift, left click on the mountain, and this mountain, and this mountain, and send those to their own layer. I'm going to join them so that they'll stay together, and then I'll hide that layer. The rest of these will be valley folds, so I'll just select them all, join them, send them to their own layer, click the trash can to get rid of any empty layers, and then I'll open the snowflake layer, and now we have the three different pieces for our file. This would be, I'll left click on the and type in cut, because these will be cut, and then this selection. If you click on the actual thumbnail, you'll see the selection. Let me click on this one. I'll select on these. These are going to be the mountain folds. Mountain, score, and then this layer should be the valley. So I'm going to hide the mountains, hide the snowflake, and again select all of these. Oh, I see. These should be valley folds. So I'm going to join them, send them to the top, and we'll call these valley score lines. Get rid of the empty layers. And now I have 3 different layers. Mountains, valley, and cut. So then I can send this to my Zing or any other. I can export as SVG if I want, and everything is on their own layer. Now this is pretty simple because it is a small design, but if you had a big city to do and you had tons of score lines, it could get very complex and annoying. The method that I posted back in 2012 to help you group things in Illustrator before exporting as SVG doesn't work with open path lines, meaning that these are not closed shapes, because in Illustrator if you select all the lines which are called strokes and all of the fills, and you import them in, you get double lines of everything, and that's not what we want. So from Illustrator you either have to select the lines, which are called strokes, or you have to select fills to export as SVG. When I do that with fills, they come in their proper groups and make the cut. But with the strokes, they're coming in as all individual pieces, which gives us what we started with, lots of small pieces instead of joined pieces on their own layers. So there's a workaround, not quite as simple, but if I go to Illustrator, this is the original PDF file, and you notice that there are red lines for the mountain folds or valley folds, and there are blue lines for the mountains and black lines for the cuts. But we don't have those in Make the Cut. So what I do is I can click on a red line, and before I grouped all of these, and then I went to Layers and selected Release to Layers Sequence. So now I have just the red lines selected, and I can do a Control-C copy. I have those, copy, Control-C, then I can go to Make the Cut. I'll open a new page here, Control-Shift-V to paste in place, and it brings in the red lines. Now I'll go back here and I'll select just the blue lines, and when I do that I can do Control-C copy and Make the Cut, Control-Shift-V, and those lines come in. If I line them up directly over the center, I hope those would be in position, but I'm not quite sure. But let me undo that. Before I combine them, I'm going to send these to their own layer. So now I have the red lines here, and I have the blue lines here. I'm going to drag the plus in the middle right over the plus there. And then I'm going to go to Illustrator again. I'm going to click on the black lines. And again, I have gone through this process. Right-clicked and selected Group. Right now they're grouped already. And then after they're grouped, Release Layers, Release to Layers, Sequence. That's how I got these all grouped and ready to go. If they were fill colors, there are no fill colors in this design, so I can't do it that way. So I just go to Select, Same. This time I did stroke color. So whatever stroke color you have, they'll all be selected. And then I'm going to copy Control-C, and I'm not going to do stroke color, I don't think. No. I'm going to copy Control-C, go in to make the cut, Control-Shift-V to paste in place, and I'm going to move this into position right over the score line where it should be and send it to its own layer. And so now I have all the design pieces. If I want to make these score lines into dashes, I'll just click on Create New Line Style and set the spacing to where I want, and OK. And I'll do the same with these other score lines, Create New Line Style, and OK, so that now I have all the cut lines here, all the mountain folds and the valley folds. So you can click on the thumbnail to select the lines you want. Now if we don't want I'm going to select all and move this down a little bit. If we don't want the card and we want just a snowflake, as I assume was the original intention, you can left click with the node editing tool, which is the second arrow on the left, and delete these outside lines that we don't want. If you were trying to do just a snowflake and not the card. So I assume this is part of a smaller project, but this is the result. It's a nice clean file, but having to work with these layers and make the cut is a little bit frustrating because of the problem with when you use to each its own, you get all these different segments going to all different layers, and we want just 3 layers. So hopefully this answers your question.